A common question we are asked by retirees who inherit a rental property is, should they keep the property or should they sell it? Today we're going to walk you through 4 of the most common reasons why our clients choose to sell rental properties. Stay tuned. Hey there, it's Alex and Matt from 1 Degree Advisors. We are certified financial planners that help folks with all things tax, retirement, and investment related. So Matt, there are advantages to owning real estate, right? It can help diversify, let's say, a traditional stock and bond portfolio. It can help you with cash flow in retirement as you receive those rents. Also, the property could appreciate in value over time. So there are good reasons to keep real estate, but there are also reasons why you may choose to sell rental real estate, especially if you're inheriting the property. So one of the reasons, and the most common reasons why we've seen our clients choose to sell rental property, is just for simplicity.
Yeah, no doubt there's something nice about receiving a nice check in the mail from your tenants each month. But one of the reasons we've seen retirees sell is they're just not keen on the idea of managing tenants, paying for maintenance, insurance, property taxes, and stuff like that. And frankly, your investments don't call at midnight to say there's a leak. Mm-hmm. So one of the ways retirees can achieve, and the way we've seen them achieve simplicity, is by investing in a diversified portfolio. And the advantages they receive is that they can invest very diversely and also in a more customized way that'll ultimately help them achieve their goals of, tax efficiency, growth, and also income.
Exactly. It can be more aligned to that specific client's needs, not just this generalized purpose. And of course, for a lot of us, as clients continue to get older, time becomes more of a premium over money. And at least that's the case for a lot of retirees. So really the second factor here is you have to think about multiple heirs. Do you want to be in business with family?
Yeah, if you inherit a property and you're not the only child, you're not the only beneficiary of that, you have to split up that pie somehow. And you can either cash out by selling it to someone else in your family, or buy their portion, mm-hmm. or just sell the entire property as a whole, which ultimately is a team decision. Now, for some of the people that are the sole beneficiaries and they actually own that property now, you have your own kids to think about. Do you think they're prepared and ready to manage that, or mm-hmm. sell it? And it's just something you want to consider.
Yeah, and for some families, they may be totally fine kind of like jointly owning that property together. You have multiple people on it. Some families are going to do great. Other families, and is the case with a lot of families, they're like, no way. That's going to be a recipe for disaster. The third factor here of if, when you inherit a property, if you should sell, can come down to how the property was titled and the potential tax benefits.
Yeah, and taxes are understandably a jam up for most people, because with highly appreciated property, there's going to be a big potential capital gain. But, one reason we've seen a lot of people sell is because they received what's called a step up in basis. And like you mentioned, if your property was titled properly, the IRS allows your heirs potentially a pretty huge tax benefit here. So let's look at an example of a father and a son. So Jim, a California resident, purchased a property for $50,000 in 1968. Sounds about right. If Jim sold this year in 2022, he will incur income tax. And these are just an example of a $950,000 gain. That's $226,100 in tax. That's
under some assumptions.
Under some assumptions, exactly. But let's look at what happens when Jim unfortunately passes away and leaves it to his son Bill. So unfortunately, Jim passed this year and did not sell the property. He left the property to his only son Bill. With a step up in basis, the original basis will be stepped up to its current market value. And now because of that step up, you avoided a massive capital gain when you sell.
So, that's a big piece of that, is that if it is done correctly, inheritors can get out of the property without having any meaningful tax. Of course, a lot of people, when they look at this, they just need to make sure they're looking at it the right way, right? If I sell this piece of rental property, it doesn't mean that I'm eliminating any cash flow, right? So like you mentioned earlier in this video, if you're able to sell, you can still take that money and turn it into something that can be more tailored to you. It can give you more flexibility to what you need in your specific financial plan, not just a piece of real estate that now you're tied to and potentially have other people on. It can be tailored to what you need, potentially creating income or potentially not until you need it down the road. But again, oftentimes with rental properties, a big piece of that is replacing the income.
Yeah, and like you mentioned, when people decide that, it makes more sense to sell, they might be looking at it from a perspective of what does that rent look like compared to the whole fair market value of the property. So someone renting out their property for, let's say, $3,000 a month, which equates to $36,000 a year, on $1 million property, that's about a 3.6% yield. And maybe that's enough. Maybe that's enough for somebody. But alternatively, what we've seen many people do is sell that property. Now they have the flexibility to invest in a way that's tailored to them and where you can target income and growth.
And of course, there's more to just the yield. There can be the property appreciation, but we want to keep it simple today. And then real quickly, the last thing I know we want to hit on is just the goals, right? Does this align with your goals and your specific financial plan? Because oftentimes what I've seen is that sometimes people, when they get into these properties, their property drives some of the decisions they make in their financial plan, and it should be the other way around.
Yeah, you don't want to have the financial focus to be the full top of your mind here, because your mission, your purpose in retirement really should be that foundation. Mm-hmm. And whether you decide to cash it out, invest, or keep it as is, you got to make sure it aligns with your goals. And as much as we're called to help people make confident financial decisions, I find, and I bet you can relate, most of the joy we get is helping someone align their money with their values, because at the end of the day, the decision has to maximize your purpose.
Absolutely. And then one quick thing here. So, we're talking a lot about purpose. We have a lot of clients who are from Southern California. Of course, we see clients all across the United States, but a lot of clients that retire, that were working in California, in San Diego, they choose to move out of state. And so there are a lot of decisions to make there. We recently made a video talking about the things retirees should know before moving out of state. People can watch that. Once again, this is Alex Okugawa from 1 Degree Advisors. And if you're curious how we help clients to and through retirement, you can visit our website at onedegreeadvisors.com.